Hi, this is Stacy with Lily Bean Crafts by Stacy. Welcome back, and if it's your first time, thanks for stopping by. So I've been wanting to try making a distressed crackle tumbler. So I decided that's what I was going to do today. So I took the 16-ounce STEMI tumbler that I got from the Stainless Depot, and I went ahead and I cleaned it and prepped it, and I spray painted it. And I use Colorshot spray paints, and this is Orange Slice. So I just went ahead and spray painted that. And I'm going to go in with my orange glitter mixture that I've used a couple times now. I'll link in the description what glitters are in there. And I'm using my glitter glue, and I'm just going to coat the tumbler really good, but I'm not going to coat the handle. I'm not putting this mixture onto the handle. So I'm going in here and I'm just applying all of the glitter to make sure I get full coverage. And then as soon as I have it fully covered, because it has chunky pieces, I'm going to go ahead and take my parchment paper and I'm just going to roll it up in there and make sure that I smooth it all out just to make it so I don't have to do as many epoxy coats. And then I'm going to take care of the handle. So I'm just going to put just a little bit of glitter glue right on my little brush and make sure I cover the handle really good. And then I'm going to go in with sherbet from Chase Ray Creations and use that just to cover the handle because it's a fine cut and I won't need as many coats of epoxy on the handle. And then I'm going to let that dry for 3 hours, and then I'm going to go right in with my glitter glue and put a coat of sealant over everything and let that dry for roughly about 4 hours, and then I'm going to go in with my first coat of epoxy. I'm going in with 20 mLs of my Flint Sisters Fast Set Epoxy. I'm going to make sure I get this totally covered, and then I'm going to let it dry for about 3 hours, and then I'm just going to go right in with another 10 mLs of the Fast Set Epoxy, and I'm going to let that dry for roughly about 3.5 to 4 hours before I start working on the crackle. I really wanted to make this crackle effect look distressed, so I decided to use a different brush this time when I add the crackle. And I'm going in with a 1-inch chip brush, just a really cheap chip brush, and I'm just going to brush it on there. It doesn't have to be perfect because I am going to be taking a bunch of it off. And because I want it to look distressed, you never want it to look perfect. So I'm just going to apply that all over the entire tumbler, and then I'm going to let it dry for an hour, and then I'll go in with my acrylic paint. I decided that I didn't want to put the crackle effect onto the handle. I just wanted to keep that glittered, but that is something that would look really pretty if you did that. Now that the crackle medium is completely dry, I'm just going to go ahead really slowly and carefully with my white acrylic paint, and I'm just going to try to apply this in a manner where it only takes one coat as I'm striping it down the tumbler. Once again, this is going to be distressed, so I didn't do it as perfectly as I normally do because I am going to be pulling some up, but I'm trying to get it so that it goes from the top to the bottom in just one smooth coat. And then anywhere that it doubles up a little bit, I just gently go in with the brush and just try to bring some of the paint up so it's not super thick in those sections. If you haven't done so yet, check out my Lily Bean Crafters Community Facebook group. I'll go ahead and I'll link it in the description. Once I have it totally coated with the acrylic paint, I'm just going to set it off to the side and let it dry for an hour. So now that the acrylic paint is totally dry, I'm going to be going in and doing the distressing. I'm going to be using a mixture of either 91% rubbing alcohol or putting 100% acetone on there. The rubbing alcohol is not going to take off nearly as much when you want to acetone some of the sections. That takes a lot of it off. So I started with the 91% alcohol and it just wasn't giving me the distressed look that I was going for. So here I am going in with just a regular paper towel with a little bit of 100% acetone on there, and I'm just going to start rubbing it in some sections, not going really crazy with it, just taking a little bit off and just building the distress as I go on. Process is taking a little bit of time because I am going really slow with it. I know I've got it sped up, but I did really take my time and just do a little bit at each section because I really wanted to get this certain look, and it just took me a little bit of time to get it exactly how I wanted it. This is where you can make it your own. You can make it as fully distressed or as little distress as you want, and it's going to be beautiful, and it will be your creation. Once I was done with it, I did take it outside and I sprayed it with some clear gloss sealant that I got from Rust-Oleum just to kind of seal in all of the acrylic paint. And then I let that completely dry. And now I'm going in with another 10 mLs of my Flint Sisters Fast Set Epoxy. And I'm going to let this dry for 3.5 hours. And then I'm going to start adding all of the vinyl decal work. So when I was in TumblerCon, I stopped by April at the Vinyl Cottages booth, and I saw these white pumpkin fall floral element sheets, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I bought this one, and then I bought another one for a larger tumbler, and I was just determined that I was going to make something with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out all these little element pieces, and I'm going to kind of show you how you can apply a vinyl decal to a curved tumbler. I'm starting at the top where it's going to be a little bit easier to apply them, and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of trim it to fit into the space that I wanted it to be in. And this is a removable vinyl, so if you run into any problems with it, it's really easy to peel it up and move it. You just want to try not to get any fingerprints onto where it's clear. So I'm just going to kind of start placing the the pumpkins and the florals all around. And then as I move slower, this is where it starts getting a little bit more challenging because I'm going to be having to trim it around to fit it onto the curve. And if you just kind of look at this, you'll see how I did it. What's great about these element sheets is because it does have the clear sections, you can take your X-Acto knife or your scissors and you can trim it and move it around and manipulate it so that you can get each of the small little pieces to apply perfectly to the curve. I just took my time with each floral section. I would trim it wherever I would need to, and once I set it back down, you can never even tell that I trimmed it. The way that this is designed, it was just able to work that way, and I didn't have to take away much of it. I was actually able to lay some of the pieces over some of the other pieces of the vinyl, and it didn't have any bubbles or anything. It just laid smoothly, and it just worked out perfectly for me. With this pumpkin piece that I'm going to apply, it was actually two pumpkins, and I just went and used my scissors and I just cut it out as close to all the lines in it as possible so that I could get that all to lay down, because with it being such a large piece, it was really challenging to get it on the curve. But like I said, this is such a unique and great design that I was able to make it work. Process does take a little bit of time, but as you can see, it is completely worth it. So now that I have the decals all on there, I'm going to go in with another 10 mLs of my Flynn Sisters Fast Set Epoxy, and I'm going to let that dry for 4 hours, and then I'm just going to put a cute little SVG that I made right over the top of it, and then we'll be getting it finished up. So I found this font called Salty Feathers on DaFont, and I just decided that I wanted to make something really light and just airy with the wording on here. and I just made it say "Hey Pumpkin." I don't know, it just seemed like a good thing to put on there, and I didn't want to have the decal or the SVG take up a lot of space. So I went ahead and I sized it to fit right in this space here. And surprisingly, this font was really easy to work with. I did reverse weed it, and I used just regular black permanent vinyl and applied it. And now I'm going in with another 10 mLs of my fast set epoxy. I'm going to let this dry for 4 hours. I'm going to sand it down really good, make sure that it doesn't have any pokey bits and it's all smooth. And then I'm going to go in with my final 10 mLs of my Flynn Sisters medium viscosity artist resin epoxy. And then I'm going to let that go for 8 to 10 hours. And then it will be all done. And it is all done, and I am so glad that I tried to do this distressed crackle technique. It's very unique looking, and this vinyl that I picked up from April just went perfectly with it. And if you liked this tutorial, please hit that like and subscribe button. Check out my Lily Bean Crafters Community Facebook group on Facebook, and I will see everybody next week. Bye-bye.